Hey guys, so I just wanted to take a second to talk about anxiety. And the reason I want to bring this up is because about a week ago, I put out a class on my YouTube channel that was a yin yoga session for anxiety and insomnia. And out of all of the classes I've ever put out on my YouTube channel, this one had the most views within 2 days. And lots of comments, lots of people saying, I need this. So, this has led me to believe that anxiety is really a very common, universal struggle for so many people. And so, in this video, I just wanted to share a few of my own thoughts about anxiety, as well as some tips, things that have worked for me that I've learned over time using yoga and mindfulness and other modalities that I've studied a little bit to manage anxiety. And so, the first thing that I want to say about anxiety is it's a fear based emotion, right? So, what that means is that we're feeling anxiety because we're protecting ourselves from experiencing past pain again, right? So it's rooted in the past and it's also rooted in the future in terms of worrying about what's going to happen in the future. So in both scenarios, there is no present, and neither the past nor the future is relevant to the present moment. So, again, this is one of the reasons why with yoga we work so much with experiencing ourselves in the present moment through the breath, through the conscious attention we place on our body, on the sensations of the body. It's all about experiencing that present moment and knowing that in that present moment, neither the past or the future is relevant. And there's an infinite amount of possibilities which we're not necessarily allowing ourselves to experience or feel or even believe are true because we're so stuck on the past, we're so stuck on the future. And a lot of the times this is very unconscious, right? So a lot of the times our body is just trying to protect us and protect us from those past experiences, from that past pain. And so I want to get a little bit into what is happening in the body physiologically and on a cognitive level, what happens in the body when we're experiencing anxiety. So you may have heard of the terms sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. If you haven't, these are basically our two types of systems that are responsible with the sympathetic system. This is responsible for our sort of fight or flight mode, our survival mode. This is our stress response, right? And the parasympathetic nervous system is responsible, it's sort of the rest and digest, so the relaxation response. And what happens is when we go into stress mode, when we're in anxiety, the sympathetic nervous system kicks in and it sort of shuts off the parasympathetic nervous system or puts it into kind of hibernation mode. And so our entire body is in this state of fight or flight because there's a perceived threat. And this doesn't necessarily have to be a threat like I'm going to die, somebody's attacking me, not that kind of survival necessarily, but it could be on that emotional level, right? So I've been hurt in the past. I don't want to get hurt again. I don't want to feel that pain. So you get into that fight or flight mode. And so what happens here is that we're perceiving this threat. And so now all of our relaxation, our ability to relax, our ability to tap into that parasympathetic nervous system gets shut off. And then on a cognitive level, what's happening is that the part of our brain that is responsible for regulating emotion when we're not in that stress or in that anxiety, this also gets shut off, right? So basically, when we're in anxiety mode, none of what we're perceiving about our reality is the same as it would be if we weren't feeling or experiencing that stress, right? We're not able to feel or see our emotions in the same way. So our entire reality becomes different. And most of the time, our reality becomes negative, right? What do we begin to do? We begin to do a lot of self-blaming, right? A lot of rumination, a lot of globalization of these overall negative concepts. So maybe somebody made you, or some circumstance brought up the feeling of, you know, I'm being ignored, nobody likes me, and you start globalizing this. So you start saying, nobody likes me. I never get what I want. I never this, and you forget all of the times that you do get what you want, or and you forget that people do like you. So this is just one example. But we start to globalize everything, right? So this is just kind of what the brain starts to do when it's spiraling in that direction, in that anxiety and that stress, right? And so what's happening here is you're tapping into all of these negative emotions, and you start to negatively frame everything that's happening or going on in your life. So it's, in a way, it's sort of cognitive distortion, right? Because this is not true, this is not really happening, but the part of your brain that is responsible for regulating these emotions is turned off, right? So there's this overall your entire nervous system is freaking out, and your brain is freaking out, right? So you're not able to process the situation. And most of the time what happens is we think in this moment, this is so terrible, this is so horrible, this feeling, I need to solve this right now, I need to fix this right now, I need to figure this out, I just need to do anything that will make me to not feel this, right? And the more we push against, the more resistance we're creating, the more we push against this feeling, the more we're adding to that negative experience, rather than to realize that in that mode, you cannot fix anything, right? So nothing is going to be solved when you're in this anxiety, even though that's the moment when we're most feeling it, like, I have to fix this right now. But what we actually need to do is find relief. And often the problem is this, that people are searching for bliss or pleasure, right? You're searching for these really elevated emotions, but you're too low down on the ladder of emotions. And what you need to be searching for is first relief. So how do we find that relief? And I think for most people, it can be very different than for other people. For myself, for example, I find that meditating doesn't work for me when I'm in this mode. That for me is too high of an emotion to aim for, right? And so, what kinds of relief can we experience? For some people, this might be movement, getting into action, right? Getting some exercise, anything that takes you out of your head, out of that rumination and that globalization and all those spiraling thoughts, which are not serving you. So, exercise, that could be one way. Maybe for some people, stillness does work. So coming to stillness, meditating, if that works for you, awesome, great. You should go for that, because you need to identify what is the thing that brings you relief in that moment before you can get into a mode where things can be solved or fixed. Because you really need to be relaxed in order to receive the inspiration for how things are going to get fixed, right? And you can't see that when you're in this crazy mode. Even I find, distraction, it's not a terrible thing in that moment. If it's so loud, if your stress response is so loud, doing something like distracting yourself with a movie or laughter, it's okay. It's not like you're ignoring the issue. You're just taking the next step to get to a place where you can then begin to receive the inspiration for how things are going to get fixed. And for some people, it might be talking, right? Venting. I would say this is a lot more common for women, that we tend to want to talk it out. We reach out to our friends. It's probably a lot more common for men to want to have space, right? To have time alone. I'm generalizing here, but the idea is to know whether you need to spend time with yourself, be alone, or if you would find relief by talking to someone. And then, of course, there's certain yoga poses that can help with this. And this is one of my go-tos is, so if I recognize that my body is kicked into this sympathetic sympathetic nervous system reaction, I want to take a yoga pose that's going to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And so this is going to be, in general, forward folds are really helpful here. So just really coming into any kind of a forward fold, let the body calm down, maybe even some breath work. There's certain types of breath work that can be very useful here. I really like to use a breath work called Nadi Shodhana, and this is the sort of alternate nostril breathing, which you can find. I have a video on my YouTube channel on how to use this alternate nostril breathing, which relaxes the nervous system, brings you back to a level of a little bit more balanced level between your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. And from there, you can begin to see things clearly. And then lastly, after this, you can I like the idea of sort of bookmarking emotions, right? So when I'm feeling relaxed, when I'm feeling a good feeling, I like to remember what that is like. I like to sort of, like I said, bookmark this emotion so that later when I'm not feeling that, and maybe after I found relief, then I can start to bring up that emotion, maybe by remembering what that circumstance was that helped me be able to access those emotions even when a circumstance is not showing me that. A lot of the times we are very attached to getting what we need from our circumstances, right? So if we're always only able to experience calmness or peace or love, worthiness, all of these emotions, if we're only ever able to experience these, if we're in a circumstance where that's being given to us, then we're always going to get triggered and spiral out of this. So it's very important to, in any way that you find useful, to be able to kind of bookmark those emotions and try to bring them up to experience them even when the circumstance isn't giving you that. So those are just a few things I wanted to share. I hope that this helps you to think about anxiety in a different way. I hope it gives you some tools to manage. So just to kind of recap, when you're feeling that anxiety, whenever you're getting into that panic mode, again, notice what's happening. Is your perception being distorted? What's happening in your body? What do you feel? Is your heart rate going up? Are you no longer able to eat? Because, like I said, the parasympathetic nervous system is related to your digestion also, so that shuts off. So what's happening on a physical level, and are you able to kind of see that and recognize that nothing is going to get fixed or solved from this state? So the emotion you want to reach for is relief, and find out what it is that is going to bring you that relief before you can get into that mode where you're able to see how things are going to get fixed. And when I say this about fixing things, it's like we have a tendency to need to fix things, right? And a need to solve, to know the answer, to know how this is going to get better. And I think it can also bring some relief to know that you don't need to know how that's going to get fixed. That will come to you when your body is relaxed. It will come in the form of inspiration, right? You need to get to a place of relaxation first in order to receive. You need to get into that receiving mode. And that happens first by reaching for relief. So anyways, thank you for listening. Those are just a few thoughts. I hope you find it useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and check out that video on the Nadi Shodhana breathwork, and hopefully that works for you as well. And enjoy your day.